Okay, yep, we are officially live. Look at that. I could still kind of operate this craziness. But, all right. Welcome, everybody. It's time to essentially just. I don't know, man. I don't want to regurgitate some of the same conversations, but I mean, it has been a slow week. Me and Mickey have plans. Okay, yep, we are officially live. Look at that. And I have still the freaking YouTube volume boosting into my ear, so I just heard my voice. That was funny. Startled the shit out of me. Okay, so here we go. Let's just officially get this going on. Welcome to anybody that's checking out the show as we start. We thank you all for being here. Always remember to just hit us up in the chat. We are always actively watching the chat. We enjoy conversating with you, and there is no shenanigans here of you needing to have a subscription, a Patreon, a super chat. You don't got to give me a nickel for me to acknowledge your existence. Just you chatting, putting your stuff in the chat. We will just go ahead and answer whatever questions, let you be part of the discussion. So let's just first start off. What's up, Xcoin? Thank you for coming and checking out the show. Let's just start with that age-old question that we always need to start off with. Mickey, what have you been playing? And say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. And I have been playing Diablo 4 and NBA 2K24 lately.
Oh, God.
I know how Phil loves those.
You'll catch me eventually, probably maybe checking out Diablo, but NBA 2K, nah, no.
Well, I don't know. You haven't freaking Tiff has gotten on Diablo before you have.
I'm still trying to get, like, I don't know, maybe my problem was I tried Diablo 2 to get into Diablo. Maybe I should have started with Diablo 3. I don't know.
Diablo 2 is amazing.
See, that's where I don't know, man. Like,
it hurts my feelings, Phil. It hurts my feelings.
Dude, like, I'm just being honest. It was like watching the Diablo trailer at the Xbox showcase where you're just like, dude, this looks sick. But I know this game is nothing like that. I'm just sitting there just like, I'm like, the top down, I don't know. Maybe I just don't know, man.
Well, see, I know that you're not really into that style game, so I understand.
What's up, man. Arnie? The top down what?
That you're not really into, a lot of the, like that top down style Diablo games, but
I'm really going to give it a shot. I have a couple games in my backlog that are top down that I really need to try, but I don't know, maybe see, that's the thing. I played Halo, like top down, like I played Halo Wars 2. I love the hell out of it, but I just feel like whatever it is, Diablo is not feeding whatever dopamine thing I'm looking for gaming right now. I don't get it. What's up, Faded Blaze? Thank you for coming and checking out the show. But I will tell you right now, Mickey, at least I could say there is a better chance of me getting into Diablo and loving Diablo than NBA 2K.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
So
that's funny.
So here we go. What have I been playing though?
What have you been playing?
I went down this rabbit hole and I've already blazed through Gears of War 1 and 2. I've started playing Gears 3. It's my first time playing Gears 3. I'm absolutely excited to see some color. I never thought I'd be like the dull color palette of the grays and the blacks and the golds. Now I was just like, oh my gosh, there's actually greens. I'm enjoying Halo 3, Gears 3 so far. I just started the segment where you get to play as Coltrane, so that is definitely new. And after that, it's going to be Gears Judgment, and then there's the the dice toss on, do I go back and play Gears 4 and 5? Starfield mods got me hooked. It's good to hear that you're actually enjoying the mods, Xcoin, because definitely I've heard some people have a lot to say about the mod system for Starfield, and I have my reservations on, because I guess I don't want to say I'm biased, but the problem is I feel like I'm not trying to be mean in saying this, but I feel like a lot of people really feel that there should be a lot for free. And I say that respectfully. I understand value as a consumer, but you got to remember, a game engine is worth probably more than likely the game engine that at least Starfield is built on is probably worth, we'll just say at the very modestly, could we say it's worth $1 million, maybe more? And the free mods are better, and you see that's the thing where you get the passion. And that's where I'm just saying, like, I don't really understand why people get so angry at something that they didn't pay, that they don't own, or that they don't really have a lot of say so in how it's designed. It's more like mods are there for people who enjoy mods and doing it, but people at the end of the day need to realize that they don't really own that game engine, and the fact that Bethesda allows them to do mods like that is absolutely amazing, considering a lot of developers actually consider their game engine like a sacred religion, and if you do anything to it at all, you're like infringing on their game engine, and like it's a big no-no. So the fact that Bethesda lets people do that, especially with Skyrim, Fallout, and now Starfield, like, let's face it, like, here we are 2024, and modding games is like its own big community in gaming, and there is some developers and publishers out there that are completely against it. And that's where we got to kind of like have a little bit of give and take on the developers and publishers that actually allow for mod support, and understanding that, at the end of the day, they are also a business, and that the whole goal of a business is to make money. And that's where I've never looked at gaming like a charity. I've always looked at gaming like, at the end of the day, it's there to make money, because that's what businesses do. So yeah.
Well, I know Skyrim's got a ton of free.
Yeah, Skyrim's got.
I think Fallout 4 does too. As a matter of fact.
They've got a lot of but now Starfield has gone down the road of having some mods that are actually, it's almost borderline DLC, but they're calling it a mod. The one that comes to mind that I've heard people talking about was so for starters, to get these mods that are created by Bethesda, the mods that are actually created by Bethesda.
Thanks for joining us, James, by the way. Sorry.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you, James, for coming and joining us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. So for whatever reason, Bethesda has decided to start releasing their own mods. It is a little interesting that the developer / publisher of the game is releasing their own mods, and they're charging for these mods as well. The one that comes to mind, it costs 700 credits. And you buy your credit packages, kind of like crowns in the Crown store on ESO. And so this particular package is 700 credits, and it gives you a weapon and some kind of, it essentially is a faction quest, and it has to do with like the bounty hunter faction in the game. So that's why I said it's like borderline DLC. And so there's some argument to be made on that now. Bethesda is trying to monetize mods. And that's where I'm kind of like, I'm the kind of person that like jokingly says, like, it's their game engine, they can do what they want with it. and at any time I don't feel they owe me nothing. And that's where, I see a lot of people angry, at least the direction that Bethesda's wanting to go, and they're wanting to yeah.
Thing is, it's like everything else. It's if you want it and you want to pay for it, pay for it. If you don't, then don't.
Exactly.
Shannon in chat, I agree too as far as paying out the money because a lot of those developers put in a lot of odds. I don't mind spending some money on those at all. I did it on Skyrim, so
right?
I sure am not doing it on Starfield either. So
now
I'm going to check that out.
Now, but there is also the one argument that somebody has made to play devil's advocate that sometimes Bethesda does take advantage of the mod creators, like some of the ones that do it for free, where Bethesda in the past has not even solved their own bug issues in the games, bugs and glitches, and the modders will actually create a mod to fix the bugs and the glitches. So essentially, Bethesda is using people that develop gaming as a hobby, and they're not being paid a developer's wage to do it. So that's where, but to be in all fairness,
it's kind of their choice to make the mods or
no, I get that it's a passion, but in all fairness, that's where, that's where some guys really do cut their teeth in doing mods, and sometimes they are brought on. Like at Bethesda, there is people that work at Bethesda that started off life in the modding community, and now they work at Bethesda because they know that game engine quite well, and they're able to do some amazing witchcraft with it. And they were just like, hey, do you want to come work for us? And that's one thing like people need to understand. So like personal tidbit issue, I want to take what I know about social media, graphic design, search engine optimization, and stuff that I've had a passion for in learning about for kicks and giggles and playing around with YouTube. And I've applied it to my job that I work at now professionally. And I've realized that there's a market for this to where I could maybe start my own business in life in doing social media and digital marketing for small businesses. But for me to get started, I already know to build my portfolio, to actually put myself out there to companies and be like, hey, I'll charge you X amount of dollars to do this for you. You got to first have a portfolio. And that already tells me that probably
you're gonna have to I'm free for some
I'm going to probably have to do it for free for a couple of businesses. Wow. And then for businesses that actually do want to pay me, they're going to pay like an extremely discounted rate, which means that I'm probably going to not make very much money at all building the portfolio. And that's where I've been very picky and choosy in my mind. Like if there's like a small little restaurant that me and my wife like to eat at, maybe say, hey, I'll do this for you free of charge. Or if there's like a store that like Fallout Games here in Phoenix, like I'd walk in there and be like, hey, I've noticed your guys' website is a little antiquated. I've noticed that you don't have much of a social media presence and stuff like that. Would you like me to build that for you free of charge? And most people would be like, why are you going to do it for free? And it's like, well, there's a motive behind it. I need to be able to build a portfolio to show companies I can do it. So, right. And that's where sometimes you got to do something without getting paid. That's the shitty part of it.
That's true.
So, thank you, Derek, for joining the conversation. While I'm against paid mods, people forget that paid are not new. Oh, dude, I know. We got to remember, man, technically Bethesda was the inception of one of the most, like we all remember it, horse armor. And still to this day, people bring it up. And yes, in Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, they came up with horse armor. And that was like the start, like for some people, that was like the start of the road of microtransactions. Okay. So speaking of gaming stuff, let's dive into it. We've had enough time kind of talking about what we've been playing. Let's really get into it. So let's start with the first kind of like, let's start with the first subject. It's kind of weird. It started off with a tweet from Fire Sprite Games. It actually came out yesterday about 3:30 in the morning, my time. And for those who don't know, Fire Sprite Studios is a PlayStation studio. They're owned by Sony, and they helped develop the Horizon VR game, built basically off of Horizon Forbidden West and Horizon Zero Dawn. And in their tweet, they put out like several other teams across SIE. PlayStation Studios Fire Sprite was impacted by redundancies announced in February of this year. These past few months have been incredibly challenging period for our studios, whilst we underwent a difficult and lengthy consultation process. I like how they call it consultation process. In other words, Sony was there auditing them. In my term, that's like you're getting audited. So during this time, we have been focused on providing support to all those affected amidst these demanding circumstances. As the consultation period now draws to a close, in other words, they're done going through our books, auditing all the money, we would like to extend our deepest gratitude to all of the incredible and talented colleagues who will always remain part of our story. We face the future with resilience and determination, united in our vision to deliver unforgettable gaming experiences to our players. In other words, Fire Sprite knows that they laid people off. And they also know that there is other stuff potentially going to occur as of these audits because, you know, let's just face it. Like, I like how, like I said, they're calling it, you know, consultation. But I'm not, see here, I'm not trying to be like, this is the only, so if you want to know where this conversation is going, kids, here's the big problem I'm running into. And it was actually brought up by somebody I follow on Twitter. Why is it when Xbox, Microsoft has layoffs, they are completely lambasted for like a month plus on the internet as the evil $1 trillion company lays people off. They're evil. They see people as numbers, blah, blah, blah. You know, that whole thing about corporations, which, you know, let's face it, it could entirely be true because they're $1 trillion company because they're Microsoft. And again, it's not a charity. That it's kind of like, at any rate, what I'm getting at is why is Microsoft continuously lambasted for doing the same thing that other companies are doing? Like, look at Embracer Group. Embracer Group just shut down the developer that released Alone in the Dark. I need to still buy that game. I plan to buy that game. It does look intriguing to me. It just sucks that game came out while there was just a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm playing. And then, you know, and also I've waited this long. I didn't buy it day one. So I guess I'm in that mode now where I'm just going to wait for it to go on sale because games technically go on sale very quickly. But one thing I did not expect, especially from a developer that also had two known actors, like David Arbor, one of the main actors from Stranger Things. He's also done some movies, was one of the main characters in Alone in the Dark. Embracer Group just shut them down like a few days ago. So that was kind of sad. Embracer Group has been during Mickey, so you know, during the pandemic, companies like Embracer Group, Sony, Microsoft, and other companies, they got a wild hair up their ass and they saw, for whatever, like, this is, we're going to get into this later about that art, like in the next subject about that article I showed you. But essentially during the pandemic, Microsoft, Embracer Group, Sony, and a number of other companies saw a huge uptick in spending and people buying video games. Now,
everybody's at home.
Yeah, everybody was stuck at home. Like, and now let's put it this way. For some states, when they were told to go home, they actually listened. Here in Arizona, when Doug Ducey, the governor at the time, said stay home, people literally put the middle finger up and they went out and bought all this off-roading equipment. The industry that I'm in happens to deal a lot with transportation of goods, off-roading equipment, materials, and like essentially the units that we produced for the transportation of stuff around the like essentially trailers. We sold over 1,000 units in 3 months. Mickey knows the company I work for. We had nothing there. It was an open, like 2-acre lot. I've worked there for going on 18 years. Still to this day, me and Mickey had never seen that place as an open 2-acre lot. That was crazy.
That's true.
So let's just say, like, even my industry saw, like, the company I work for now saw a huge uptick in business when it came to certain departments, and some of these departments actually tripled in size. But we all knew that little free ride was going to end because people were going to go back to work eventually. People were going to stop receiving what was referred to as stimulus payments. And why the gaming industry did not see this coming, it behooves me. I don't understand it, but because of everybody staying home, gaming saw this really huge artificial growth, and then all that growth went away very, very, very quickly. And now we're seeing issues with these smaller studios getting axed or cutbacks because some of these companies overbought. And now that's where when Xbox does it, they're like bastardized for it, lambasted, whatever you want to call it. But when Embracer does it, you'll get a few articles about it. When Sony does it, you might get some articles about it, but it's sure as hell not from mainstream. It's literally from guys that are just trying to cut their teeth in gaming journalism, and they're trying to write a small little synopsis of what's going on. And it just really kind of like cracks me up when this is not a Microsoft problem. This is not a Sony problem. This is not an Embracer Group problem. This is an industry-wide issue that seems to be very prevalent amongst many companies in gaming, but for whatever reason, whenever Microsoft does it, they literally get the spotlight for it all.
I think it's because it could be because a lot of the normal gamers stuff, because we've all got to pay. They just don't understand like what you understand, like what they just look at it as, oh my God, Microsoft's, they're taking away their jobs and stuff, and they don't understand the whole underlying from 5 years now. So, if a lot of those.
Mickey, I want to give you a heads up. Your microphone's cutting in and out.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Better?
Yep, I can hear you. Sorry.
Okay,
I just wanted to give you a heads
up. But they don't understand. So what they need, or what would be good, some of that explanation, so they understand why it's happening instead of jumping off the couch and instantly, thinking, what opinion is said. They're just going after whether it's Microsoft or companies. It's like, yeah, but you have to go back to the base of them originally buying those companies, and then what happened during the pandemic, and et cetera, et cetera. So
now I get I can. Your mic keeps cutting in and out a little bit. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, is it any better?
I can hear you now. Yeah, sorry. I'm just.
Was it still cutting out?
It was cutting out a little bit here and there. Like it would like turn off for like a moment every couple of words.
I hope I don't have to freaking fight this thing this whole time. It's gonna drive me nuts.
So no, it's all good.
Sorry guys, I apologize.
He got a new he got a new headset and he's still working out the kinks. I still got to go over to his house.
Apparently.
That's one thing. I know the 4th is coming up, so I'm gonna have to bring all the fireworks and bring you the Xbox equipment that I need to get rid of, so that way I can consolidate when I move.
Yeah, that's true. Unless I get to you first, but yeah, you're right.
In the words of Dreamcast, guys. By the way, welcome, Legendary Yobi. Thank you for joining the show. It's always good to see you here. Welcome, Shanann. I work in the industry. We had a lot of hires during the pandemic, and even this week we saw more layoffs within the company. See that? Yeah, and the funny part is, like, that's like, I'm like, let's be honest. My company right now that I work at, we're a little heavy on employees. I've had a discussion about it, but this is where we're still turning and burning in certain departments, and it just comes down to like when I see somebody sitting around, like in my world, if I see you sitting smoking a cigarette, regretfully I have to like get you up off your butt and be like, hey, let's go over here and do this, let's get this cleaned up. I try to keep everybody busy, because I happen to have the good privilege of working for a privately owned business that's owned by a family. And so they're not exactly as ruthless as corporate. But it just comes down to, if by some chance they do see people standing around, then they kind of like start wondering what's going on. Like today, regretfully, we had an employee throw his back out and he tried playing the game of like, hey, I'm gonna just sit here and pretend to work. And it was just like, yeah, I'm sorry, that's not gonna work. We're gonna have to probably send you home, and hopefully tomorrow you're within condition to, obviously keep up. So, but it's like, I get it. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's certainly not a Microsoft thing. Exactly. But I guess let's kind of dig into like this. This kind of goes hand in hand with the second conversation. Because yeah, Mickey is right. This was as a result of the pandemic. There should have been better planning. Companies shouldn't have overhired. They shouldn't have thought that this was going to be the way it was for a long time. I understand trying to embrace the growth, but that's where there should have been at least a little bit more strategic planning. So, and at any rate, so the reason why we're having this conversation really is, other than kind of poking at the fun that, Microsoft is always the one that seems to be the only one called out for it. Like, somebody earlier in the chat even, thought it was funny that everybody is willing to, talk about, Shanann, Israel came out and said, the gaming media and fans complained about consolidation, but when IGN did it, I heard nothing at all. Yeah, even IGN is guilty of consolidation of gaming media. So it's like rules for thee and not for me. Now it's to the original Faded Blaze. It's to the original point when everyone knows what's going on, but a lot of people, fanboys media is delusional. Really, people not going to understand unless there's another game crash in the market. So there was a podcast done involving, oh my gosh, they highlighted it. I have it right here. I have the article. Where is it? So there was a Sean Layden was interviewed for a podcast, and it looks like the podcast was GI Sprint for game industry, talking to game industry for its new GI Sprint podcast. Now, let's just kind of like lay into this, because Mickey probably isn't too familiar with Sean Layden. Sean Layden, Mickey, was the original PlayStation CEO for a good portion of the PlayStation 4 generation. He is responsible for a lot of the embracing exclusivity, but also Sean Layden was also happy about having games that didn't really, drive the, like, he was happy having a game sell 5 million copies and that was it. Because the new Sony regime, hey, 1520 is that number. And Sean Layden was one of those guys that really kind of had a knack for getting people. He basically crafted the stigma and the perception that the PlayStation brand still has to this day of PlayStation has apparently the greatest exclusive since sliced bread. Exclusives to consoles matter. But now the thing is, Sean Layden was unceremoniously let go of at PlayStation. It wasn't like he was fired. It was just like a tweet went out like, Sean Layden's no longer with us. Thanks for his dedication and service. Bye. I mean, they might as well put on the end of it like, hey, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you on the way out kind of shit. And Sean Layden has been very stoically quiet about what happened at PlayStation. Jim Ryan took his position, and we just recently saw Jim Ryan retire. And now Sean Layden has been a little bit more outspoken, but the hilarious part is whenever Sean Layden does speak, sometimes I do kind of like disregard it a little bit because whenever he tries to talk about consolidation, Sean Layden works for Tencent. If anybody is worried about consolidation in the gaming industry, Tencent is part of that conversation. So that's where I'm just like, there's moments where the pot does call the kettle black. He wasn't too fond of Phil Spencer coming out and basically throwing some, smoke his way, especially when it came to how Call of Duty exclusivity and like the Call of Duty exclusive betas, exclusive maps, exclusive modes, and all the other stuff that Sony was essentially able to money hat over the years. That was all done and designed by Sean Layden. So he did do an interview that I actually thought was a very interesting interview. I have a whole slew of notes here. We're not going to like sit here and like go off of. So in the interview, for starters, he wanted to point out his critique on industry impatience. Sean Layden criticized the game industry's impatience, especially regarding nurturing of new ideas and concepts. He observes that companies are quick to abandon promising new games that don't yield immediate high profits, opting instead for established franchises and sequels. And of course, like the big thing is here, like, so today I saw an article come out from Windows Central where they were real quick able to be like, Microsoft is putting out refunds for Redfall for the Bite Back edition. Okay, you know what? Yeah, so you know what? That's great. Microsoft is doing something that a lot of gaming companies don't do, and they're actually giving out refunds for the failure of a product. Now, I still feel in my mind, the failure of this product was essentially a little hand in hand to do with journalism. Yeah. Because I still remember the first words on this article from Windows Central. Redfall's failures were because of lack of innovation and uninspiring gameplay. What the fuck do you think freaking God of War Ragnarok is? That's not innovation. That was just basically more of the first game. What about Spider-Man 2? More of the first game. We're so quick to overhear like lack of innovation. Dude, a company that is known for doing single player experiences tried to be innovative and do a multiplayer experience. Of course they're not going to knock it out of the park first shot. You could have gave him like a few months to try. No, let's lambast them. They suck.
Drag them through the mud.
Yeah. And they get dragged through the mud, and that mud dragging makes it all the way up to the boardroom table with all the investors and the CEOs of the company involved, and they're like, well, they thought that was shit, so let's move on, fire them all. Arcane Austin, gone. And let's also face it, Sean Layden also is talking about other problems like, let's use one of Sean Layden's games, Days Gone. I actually got to loan that game to Mickey for him to do that awesome game. I think Days Gone did The Walking Dead better than The Walking Dead. And it was a really great game. That game was done by Ben Studios. That was like Sean Layden's baby. The game had a little bit of a rocky launch, but it had a lot of good fanfare, including for myself. Jim Ryan axed it. Nope. Didn't sell what we wanted. Moving on. And Ben Studios got shoehorned into creating a different game that still to this day we don't know what it is. We know they're working on it. But that's where it's just because he worked doesn't mean he's more knowledgeable about the game. Oh no, he's not knowledgeable. Trust me, dude. Mari, I'm not trying to say he's the end all be all, but he does make some fair points and some fair conversation that I've always tried to say that these companies are like right now, we're seeing it right now unfold on PlayStation, that they are hyperbolically focused on blockbuster titles and that they are going for the quick money grabs and they are not willing to nurture new titles. Like I really do feel that Days Gone deserves a sequel. Of course, the first game isn't going to be a knockout of the park home run. Neither was the original Mass Effect. Like if we go back to the Mass Effect trilogy, the first Mass Effect game is a total different experience compared to Mass Effect 2, where Mass Effect 2 was like a complete, hey, we took your criticism into consideration. We got rid of some of the mechanics that were absolutely boring and very mundane, and we decided to make other mechanics that were exciting and fun. And it was like the second iteration of Mass Effect. It was like, yeah, that right there. We want fucking more of that. And like, dude, the rest is history for Mass Effect. And so, yeah, the Mass Effect trilogy, the original John Shepard story, we all got to remember Mass Effect 1 is part of that story, and it's a total different gaming experience compared to 2 and 3. And that's where I do have to agree with Sean Layden, at least, that the industry right now is extremely impatient. They want that Fortnite money. They want that instant lightning in a bottle. Oh my God, our stock options shot up overnight. And that's where, at least to synapse what Sean Layden was talking about real quickly before we get Mickey's input. He also went on the current industry situation. The gaming industry faces widespread layoffs due to slow growth and rising costs. We've heard other developers and publishers talk about AAA games are becoming more and more difficult to keep exclusive. They're always going to be multi-plat unless they're being designed by first-party studios in general. Layden emphasized that impatience is a side effect of the industry's current economic struggles because, yeah, all of a sudden everybody lost all that pandemic money. There's not as many people playing video games as they were during the pandemic. People have gone back to work. People have gone back to the lives that they were living before the pandemic. So there has been a die-off when it comes to keeping, like, the new customers that were brought into gaming left gaming. And that is why he feels that the industry needs to be more innovative, because we need to create experiences that don't just appease the current consumers of gaming, but attract new consumers. He argues that innovation, rather than relying on established brands, is essential for the industry's growth and expansion. And he also was quick to point out that many potential gamers are new potential gamers that are willing to invest into the gaming ecosystems are uninterested in major franchises like Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty. Even though both of these games, both of these franchises print money, let's face it, they are widely supported by people who are already currently consuming those games. Let's just say right now, I don't know anybody at my job that's looking forward to shooting people up and hiring hookers in Grand Theft Auto. All the people that are already part of that experience are invested. Same with Call of Duty. Layden also wanted to discuss the impact of the pandemic, where he discussed the artificial growth during the pandemic, where companies made unsustainable investments based on temporary high demand. And he noted the industry's failures to recognize the pandemic growth as a limited time event. That's what we talked about. These companies bought way too much, they grew way too quickly, and they did not take any strategic future consideration for the fact that that was only going to last for a limited amount of time. Layden also highlighted how smaller studios suffer the most during economic downturns. He explained that these studios, often acquired with promise of creative freedom, are forced to cut back when parent companies face financial pressures. He related it to like getting a haircut. He's like, so when these companies like Microsoft, Embracer Group, Sony, and the other big corporations go through times of economic downturn, it's the smaller companies that are getting all these haircuts and cutbacks and even studio closures when they're like, yo, we're not when you acquired us for a small amount of money, it's not our fault that you guys went on a spending spree and spent yourself into a hole. And finally, he did put out that he stresses the importance of a long-term perspective and patience in developing new game experiences. And he went on to criticize the industry's short-term focus on immediate profits, which in the end hamper creative and innovative development. Because he's correct. All these studios don't want to be shut down. All these people want to be able to continue their livelihood. They want to be able to provide for their families, keep the roof over their heads, send their kids to school, or do whatever the hell they want with their paychecks. But the point is, you get scared to be innovative. It's like, hey, I've got this great game that would probably be a great concept and it'd be something for us to build our future on. Can we just build like a Spider-Man or a Marvel game? Because we know that's like a guaranteed thing. All right. Well, I guess nobody's going to know my innovative thing that, you know, like they're like, look at how
they know they're going to get paid. They know they're going to get paid from
Marvel
games that already have a base
or something that they know that like, cause he basically said, yeah, there's games that you could literally draw a line on a chart and be like, yep, it's going to sell this many copies. It's going to be this great of a game. We're going to see this much more focus on it. And it's basically appeasing the people already invested in gaming. It's not driving the needle forward. It's not getting new consumers into gaming.
They're probably also looking at a new game like that, like a new innovative game as a dice. You know, are they going to make money off of? Is it going to be an Anthem?
Right.
You know what I mean? So
well, that's what I mean. Look at how innovative. Let's technically look at Anthem. Anthem, as for all its shortcomings, that game did Iron Man better than any freaking Iron Man game on the market.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Exactly. But that innovation went in the garbage because, you know, again, Sony wasn't in it for the, I'm not Sony, EA wasn't in it for the long haul. They got disenfranchised. And they did the same thing with Mass Effect Andromeda. But that's where also gaming journalism plays a huge part in this. It's like, hey, let's get the mob mentality. Let's burn this shit to the ground and heckle the hell out of them. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, why do all these studios like, why are they shutting them down? Because you said they were trash studios. So
that's the problem. There's like a bunch of like different variables, you know, whether the big developer company is going to be behind whether journalists obliterate it when it comes out, because clearly that, you know, that causes issues. You know, it just those are two kind of, but you know, it's disappointing because it's true. You know, you want to see some innovative games. You want to get those out there because you don't want to keep feeding folks the same old stew every all the time, you know?
I know. Like, let's look at innovation. Halo Infinite. We went from a single player linear experience to an open world experience. Oh my God, no, don't do it. Like the game is trash, you know. But let's look at how innovation can really change the gaming industry. Like, let's talk about like the Nintendo 64, the inception of a joystick on the controller. That completely changed gaming. Let's look at what PUBG did for multiplayer with the Battle Royale. If PUBG, now don't get me wrong, Fortnite were the ones that really knocked that out of the park. But look at, by the way, welcome to the conversation, Blue. Welcome to the conversation, Bones 32. Drew Blisky, thank you everybody for come checking it out. Blue, that's why Game Pass is great. Devs can take a chance and put games on Game Pass. Exactly. That was one thing that even Michael Pachter talked about, and other people, analysts, talked about how Game Pass lowers the barrier of entry when it comes to a developer getting their game on a platform. And also, you get a huge paycheck generally for putting your game in Game Pass. And essentially, you can find some stability doing it that way. But it doesn't always work out for everybody. Like, regretfully, like we just saw the developer for Wizard with a Gun. I don't know if Wizard with a Gun was put in Game Pass or not, but the developer for Wizard with a Gun also just closed studio doors. And they, like, essentially, they were a very young studio. It was quite sad to hear about it.
I've never heard of that.
It's trust me, it's a very indie game. Yeah. Like you could probably find it on Xbox. It's not. I think it's more of almost like an old school Doom, like PC Doom style game. Get the Wizard with a Gun. So I believe that's what it was like. But at any rate, that's where I just really do feel studios should be given a fair chance. Games should be allowed to flourish. And that's where the gaming media needs to stop dogpiling for the sake of writing articles. It's what it is. It's dogpiling for the sake of hey, I just want to make this article for the sake of making the article, just because, we feel that we can get some, I don't know, what's the word we're looking for.
Too many people take those gaming journalists' word for it,
dude,
instead of trying it themselves, which is, it's discipline.
So, and now here's the thing. Like, for me, it's like, let's look at Forbes. Forbes used to be a really, really good website to get some good get some good decent information from. But now you've realized that the article writing is not meant for the deliverment of information. The article writing is meant for the reactionary need to get people to go to the article for their ad revenue. Dude, and even trying to research some of the conversations we're having tonight, I had an advertisement so big on Forbes take up half my computer screen. From side to side, top to middle, it was one advertisement. Try to tell me right now that you care more about your ad revenue without telling me you care more about your ad revenue. You don't care about the deliverment of the information. You care about creating a catchy title and some bullshit synopsis to get me to basically filter in and have all these freaking ads pop up on my screen so you can collect $1. That's just the way I feel about it.
Together, guys, and we need to become journalists.
Dude,
we need to make some changes.
No, there's actually really good, Seasoned Gaming, lordsofgaming.net. These guys do really good gaming journalism. And in my opinion, Microsoft needs to stop BSing around with the IGNs, the Game Informers, and all the other, especially IGN. if I'm sorry, if like if I worked at Microsoft and it's like IGN's on line 1, I would probably pick up the receiver and put it right back down and hang up on him. Like, nope, you ain't getting 5 seconds out of me. We're done. This relationship is over. Sayonara, kiss off. You can flounder in the bed you created.
Yep.
And that's where I would be the guy that's like, hey, Seasoned Gaming or lordsofgaming.net. You guys seem to be very logical, level-headed. You're up and coming. I want to help you guys grow, and I want you to help me grow. So how would you like it if I flew you down and you guys got exclusive hands-on access to our next big game, Avowed? How would you like that? And by the way, you can take all the screen captures you want. You can write all the articles you want. And I can guarantee you right now, this will all be exclusive to you. I'm not going to call IGN to do it. I'm not going to call Gaming Bolt to do it. I want to help you grow so that way maybe we can get rid of these trash companies and maybe get some new blood and better informative information injected into the gaming environment. So. And that's where we're at. And that's, Sean Layden, he may not be the greatest source of information, but sometimes he does make relevant conversations. And that is because, if I'm correct, Sean Layden was one of the few executives that was actually just fine with a game selling 5 million copies. I think he was also one of those that really liked the developer who did Concrete Genie. He was really happy with what Ben Studios did with Days Gone. And as we could see, after Sean Layden left, there was this total different direction with Sony and Embracement. And I really do think Sean Layden, one of the main reasons why Sean Layden was ousted was, for starters, we all know he did say that a service model like Game Pass was unsustainable. In my opinion, I think at this point, Microsoft has proved them wrong. Any service model has its ups and downs, and it can be very hard to sustain, but if done right, it is possible. But the other thing is that Sean Layden, I think, was really ousted for was he did not want to release very much, if anything, on PC. And we saw Jim Ryan starting to dabble with releasing stuff on PC. And now that Jim Ryan has left, they handed the keys to the castle to the new guys over there. And it's like all of a sudden everything's coming to PC. We've got a Lego Horizon game coming to Nintendo. This is a different Sony than the one that Sean Layden crafted. That is for sure. I know, dude. Bones 32. I hate IGN's reviews of Xbox games. Like, it's like, hey, we will never forget the Redfall thing of like, hey, which one of you guys really sucks at FPS games? Oh, Steve. All right, cool. You're going to Arcane Austin for the hands-on at Redfall. That was some of the most horrible first-person shooter gameplay I've ever seen. It was like guy was lost. It was like, it was more, you could tell this guy's like, what do I do? Oh, man. So, yeah, definitely. AI, see, that's the other thing. AI, I have some people, it will cause layoffs for sure. But let's just put it this way, at least my dealings with AI and what I've seen, AI can be as dumb as a box of rocks if not manipulated right. So you are going to get other people that are going to find jobs in being able to manipulate AI to get it to work properly. But also, like, if we looked at like some of the new game engines have where an AI can help you create an environment that you can like very quickly, and you can kind of like put your detail into it. So AI is going to facilitate, hey, we don't need to have as much time put into creating a jungle, and I could spend more time on character models, because at least at this point, AI cannot create, like, dude, if you've played around with AI, You should see the weird gangly fingers you get off of like AI images on some of the AI graphic generators. I mean, like apparently AI thinks us human beings look horrible. Like it's like sometimes I always make jokes because I think of like the Terminator thing. I'm like, Skynet really thinks we look screwed up. But all right, moving on. So this whole subject with Sean Layden, kind of like, it's gonna go into subject 3 here, where this was because I try to make our shows here have a little bit of cohesiveness. So the subject here is, well, we have just recently saw a game that is going to be released. I saw a lot of people talking about it. There's people definitely excited for it, but there is definitely a point of contention for it. And as soon as I say it, the chat's probably going to be all about it. I look forward to all of your guys' comments, both me and Mickey both. So we just got the announcement of Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection arcade classics from Capcom, obviously Capcom. The collection includes 7 classic games related to the Marvel vs. Capcom gaming series. The collection features, from what I can find, X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of the Superheroes, and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes. And apparently there's like a footnote in here. The collection includes the first true arcade port of The Punisher in 31 years, which features online co-op. So, now this is where we're going to get into it. The collection does not include Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and its sequel, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, as they do not fall under the arcade's classic category. And now here we go. The collection will be available on Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and Steam later this year. Notice I did not say Xbox. There's a lot of people mad about that. A lot of these games appeared on the Xbox 360 in the arcade, but they're not being ported over to the new interface. Which, and it's not even new. It's even Xbox One, but Xbox One shares some of the same technical shit that you see on the Xbox Series X. So for whatever reason, Capcom decided to not push to release this on Xbox. And I did find an article where they talked about it. This is where we got into Forbes. I took my footnotes on it, as we touched on. There's been a historical presence of these games on Xbox. Previous Marvel vs. Capcom games have consistently launched on Xbox platforms, making the exclusion of the collection particularly notable and frustrating for Xbox fans. Capcom did decline to comment when asked by IGN. Capcom did not provide a specific reason for excluding Xbox from the release lineup, and this lack of transparency has fueled conjecture and disappointment among the community. Now, there is a theory suggesting that Capcom's MT framework engine used for many of its games, including previous Marvel vs. Capcom titles, may no longer be compatible with Xbox One. This technical hurdle could be a factor in Capcom's decision. They did also kind of like play devil's advocate, saying that it's possible that there's business or contractual challenges between Capcom and Microsoft that prevented the agreement for the Xbox release. But we're seeing other games appear on Xbox from Capcom, so I really don't know how much weight that theory holds. And obviously many fans have expressed frustration on social media about Capcom skipping Xbox, especially considering the console's substantial player base and the game's historical presence on the platform. And this is where, at least from what I've read on other articles, it feels that Capcom feels that it's not financially worth it to put it on Xbox. And yeah, I noticed it's not on PS5 either, Faded Blaze, for sure. And that's another hilarious part, is I've seen other guys try to come out and say, like, if it's going to be on PS4, it's going to show up on PS5. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know. Like, I really don't know about that one. I mean, that'd be interesting if that did happen. But what I'm getting at is, it's so funny that these companies are taking a lot of the easy way out. Like, it's not financially worth it. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be a lot of resources that we would have to dedicate to make this work. And it's kind of like, it's almost like a lazy approach in saying, we're just looking for a quick cash grab and we're not going to put in the extra effort or money to do it. And that's where I'm kind of curious on what's going to fold first. Is Capcom just going to walk around with this egg on their face? Are they going to want to try to do something about it? Same with Xbox. We've seen Xbox with other development studios in the past say, hey, we're more than willing to help you figure out these issues and help you get it onto our console. So is Xbox going to have to flip the bill to get it onto Xbox? This definitely opens up a large avenue of discussion for when it comes to, why does everything have to be Xbox's fault? And in my opinion, I know we're going to have the tinfoil hatters that are going to say, well, Xbox is becoming multi-platform. It shows that the Xbox console is essentially a piece of shit, and that the developers and the publishers don't need to worry about putting their games on Xbox because Xbox is just going to go to everywhere else. When I honestly find that further from the truth, when, let's face it, Xbox has xCloud. They have other far-reaching abilities to put this game on more than just the Xbox. They can use the Azure systems and deliver it probably onto my television with the Samsung thing they got going on, where you have the Xbox Gaming Hub as part of the Samsung Gaming Hub on your Samsung televisions. I just really feel at this point, I think Capcom got a little lazy on this one. I just think they're just being lazy, and it's a fucking cop-out.
So let me play devil's advocate.
Sure.
We don't really know the exact reason why they've done this.
Right.
Not on Xbox.
Because Capcom has declined to respond.
Correct. So that might be a little bit, but anything that we of is still just not a full conclusion. We're just speculating what it could be. So I mean, we don't really know. So I don't know. I mean, I can't.
Well, I guess this goes hands in hand with the idea that oh no. Bones 32, you just wait till the next subject. You just wait to that. We've been building up. Trust me. There's a Series S owner here on the show, and I trust me. I've got some ammunition loaded in the chamber on that combo. So, this ain't that, like, this is where, in my opinion, this goes on to the previous subject. These game development companies and publishers have made cutbacks because they overspent and they have not done enough strategic planning for what they are trying to do. So rather than strategically planning right and appeasing the fans of these games that have supported them when they were on the Xbox 360 have now probably made so much internal cutbacks, and they don't have the resources or the money necessary to get the game on Xbox. And rather than admitting, all right, we screwed up, we don't have the money or the resources to do it, they're just going to cop out and say it's not worth the money and the resources. When I find that hard to believe, considering the Xbox ecosystem is the biggest supporter of older games from a console perspective. So I already know from what I have seen on social media.
Yeah, all the way back to the OG Xbox.
Exactly. I'm not talking about the company Xbox supporting it. I'm talking about the consumers. There is more talk about playing older games from the Xbox community, from the players, than any other console hardware on the market right now. And like Xbox fans love to play a wide breadth of different generations of games. And like Blue did make a good point. It might show up at the Tokyo Game Show. That would be a good one. That would be a good one. See, like that's one of those things that I would say that would be a rogue to show up at a Tokyo Game Show. And I also believe it was like somebody earlier even touched on the chat in the chat that I think that Sony may have also pulled out of Gamescom. So Xbox has another chance to knock it out of the park with Gamescom, considering that there's going to be no presence from some of the other guys there. But getting back to this, I just really do feel that essentially, unless Capcom changes something, Blue, I really do feel that this is more of a cop-out from improper planning and just not caring about the fans that supported these games when they were on the Xbox 360, and they're about to be removed from the Xbox 360 store, ironically. And that's where, wow, who the hell? Uh-oh. But yeah, ironically, I just really do have my feelings and reservations about this, because Capcom is one of those that, you know, we've seen them do some stuff with other brands, like, you know, having the VR experiences with PlayStation. And I just really do feel that maybe this is a little bit of a disservice to the Xbox fans that supported these games when they were on the Xbox 360. And to say that that it's not worth the time and money, I really do feel that there's going to be more support for these games on the Xbox compared to the latter. And they're just taking the easy way out because they know they can port them to the PS4 easier than the Xbox One. And I've already seen from conversations on social media and other articles that it looks like the vast majority of consumers are going to pick this game up on Steam, essentially. And it's really tragic because, you know, some of these games, man, I get like really, there's a lot of people that really hold some of these games near and dear to their heart, because this was like true X-Men battle beat 'em up stuff. Like I remember watching some of the people playing back in the day. And yeah, I just really do. I hope you're right, Blue. I really hope you're right. Any other comments on this subject, Mickey?
Nope.
Don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
I spoke my piece on that.
Right. All right, let's get into it, because this one, let's light this chat on fire. So here we go. Mickey, before we get into the conversation, how do you, you know, this goes for you and anybody else in the chat. How have you been enjoying your Xbox Series S? Now let's just get it clear. You went from an Xbox One X to an Xbox Series S. Now,
that is correct.
How have you been enjoying the console, and what made you pick the S over the X? And you can be absolutely 100% honest.
Okay. So, I picked the S because it was the least expensive.
So affordability
of the two. So affordability, right?
Okay.
And going from the X to the Series S was actually when I first booted up the S and running it through it. It was to me it was like the S was so much faster. To me, it looked better. And I mean, my mind was blown because I thought it would be a little bit of a jump, but like was it was quite a bit better than the X that I had. So I mean, I was happy. Do you want to get? I'm and I love it. I enjoyed it. It was a major boost over the Xbox One X. Like it was quite the jump.
Okay. Well, the reason why we asked this question is that there is this, let's just face it, it's this bullshit myth. This myth has been kind of spread and created by that, we had a developer that tried to, I believe, if memory serves me right, this guy tried to come out and say that the Series S affected the scale and scope and the development abilities of the team for Suicide Squad. And this developer basically, like, I believe he called the Series S like an albatross of gaming consoles. And yeah, but now let's just say that, like, now just so everybody can get in this developer also was a liar, and he was not even part of the official development team of Suicide Squad. He was a character model animator. He basically did not have anything to do with how that game was built or optimized on the Series S. That dude was responsible for character models. He was essentially an artist, not a programmer. And ever since this dude tried to blow the whistle on the Series S, we've had numerous people attempt to prove that the Series S is actually holding back gaming. Now we also know, like, oh, well, gaming is affected by the lowest common denominator, the least powerful console. The Series S. Well, yeah, you can say that. You can make that. But let's really talk about what holds back gaming. A $500 barrier to entry or a $300 barrier to entry. This is why we get Mickey's perspective. The Series S is the more affordable console. Mm-hmm. Same with the Nintendo Switch. It's an affordable handheld. It's easier to swallow a $300 price tag than a $500 price tag. Don't get me wrong. We all know that the Series X is a very powerful console. But for some people, they like, dude, I still cringe when I watch people buy a DVD when I'm over here with a 4K Blu-ray player. I'm like, how can you handle it looking like that? I don't care. I'm just going to go home and watch it. So, I like, that's where I just say, like, there is a vast majority of people that have no problem playing a game 1080p, 1440p, if they've got the proper television, 30 frames a second. Hell, half of them don't even know what 60 frames a second means. They just want to play the damn game. These guys are just happy that they are not bouncing a ball from side to screen on their frickin' Atari with the wood grain.
Correct.
So, and that's where so for a while they have been trying to say that the Series S has been holding back gaming, when I really think the Series S really did a good thing for gaming, and that was able to really strike the affordability note when it comes to getting consumers again. That goes into the Sean Layden conversation. Xbox did something innovative to get consumers, new consumers, into the ecosystem. They did this with Game Pass, and they did this with the Series S. They created a service and a hardware that was innovative enough to drive down the costs and the barrier of entry needed to get into gaming. So I really feel that's a big innovation. And that's where we could say, yeah, if we're talking about graphical performance and fidelity and all that other stuff, yeah, there's going to be some limitations with the fact that when a developer makes a game, they have to develop it both hand in hand to work both on the Series S and the Series X. Now, the reason why we bring up the conversation with the Series S is because here we are, once again, we are at this impasse of, once again, a developer deciding to reach deep in and basically pull another excuse out of their ass. And so that's where, let's see, I have my notes right here. I'm a note guy. I'm scrolling. No, whoa. Okay, there's my problem. Here we go. I think this is the one. Yep, here we go. Pretty sure you guys have heard this name recently, social media. Wukong Black Myth. Mickey probably doesn't know too much about this game. Mickey, nope. It's essentially, from what it looks like to me, Lies of P, Demon Souls, Elden Ring. Like, it's not, I believe it's not From Software, but it's going to be one of those styles of games where you got to learn how to block, parry, fight. And it looks like the main character is, at least
like an Asian style.
Well, yeah, like an Asian style, because it's done by a Chinese developer. And it looks like the main character looks like a monkey, which is like why it's called like Wukong. So it looks like a very fantasy style game. I'm actually intrigued by it. But in their most recent trailer, they left out Xbox. It's coming to PC and PlayStation first, and the Xbox development has been delayed, reminiscing issues with some of the stuff we've recently saw with Baldur's Gate 3 last year. And once again, we are calling into question the Series S because apparently the development woes are with the Series S. So real quick, let's cover it so you kind of like get a little bit of a gist of the information. At least in the article that started this whole thing, the scrutiny of the Series S, the Xbox Series S is facing criticism for causing delayed game releases, with the latest example being Black Myth Wukong. Larian Studios of Baldur's Gate 3 also recently experienced significant delays on Xbox due to the challenges posed by the Series S. And the challenges had to do with optimization, at least for Wukong. Developers cannot release the game exclusively for the more powerful Xbox Series X due to Microsoft's dual console structure, which necessitates extensive optimization for the Series S. The dual console requirement has led to widespread criticism of the Series S architecture. Xbox has a rule in place. If you want it on Xbox, you have to put it on the S and the X. We're going to get into this conversation here in a second. Baldur's Gate 3, a highly acclaimed RPG, faced delays on its Xbox release due to optimization issues, particularly with memory and performance in multiplayer sessions. Larian Studios had to put in significant extra work to ensure the game ran smoothly on the Series S. For Black Myth Wukong, Game Science, the developer of Black Myth Wukong, announced that a delayed Xbox release due to not meeting quality standards similar to issues faced by Baldur's Gate 3, and it does not affect PlayStation 5 and PC versions that remain on schedule. The reoccurring theme of optimization difficulty suggests that deeper systemic problems with the Series S. The issues are not isolated, as other games have also faced similar challenges with the Series S's weaker GPU and limited memory bandwidth. And now this is where the article says that the Series S was a great idea with poor execution. The Series S was intended to make next-gen gaming more accessible with a budget-friendly console, an idea praised by fans. However, ongoing optimization struggles revealed that execution may have not have been optimal, raising questions about the Series S's viability as a next-gen console. And the impact on the developer and gamers, the limitations of the Series S can lead to compromised game quality and delayed releases affecting both developer and gamers. As games continue to push the boundaries of current gen hardware, the Series S limitations could affect its market position and appeal to players. Going into what happened with Larry, I had to go and dig these articles up from like back in like months ago. The real reason why they had issues over at Larian was because of optimization and also the split screen. Was the primary reason for the delay of Baldur's Gate 3 on Xbox is related to split screen functionality. Larian Studios claimed it needed more time to overcome this technical hurdle and ensure feature parity across both consoles. And they went on to talk about it being that the Series S, being the lower tier console, has never hosted an RPG of Baldur's Gate 3 scale with seamless drop-in, drop-out co-op. The split screen feature, crucial for gameplay, cannot be removed. They tried to say it couldn't be removed at the time because they wanted parity. And then shortly thereafter, it was confirmed that Xbox had dropped the co-op, like the parity clause. They just said, hey, it's okay that the game has to come out on both consoles, but it doesn't have to be exactly feature complete. They just have to show Xbox like examples of reasons why they just can't do it without asking. And they were able to provide to Xbox very clear reasons why the multiplayer wouldn't work. And Xbox was like, that's fine. So the Series S version will not have split screen co-op. In other words, Mickey can't go and get his kid or his wife and they could sit on the chair next to him and play Baldur's Gate 3 with him. But the ironic part is every person in his house owns their own damn Xbox. So it's not even a freaking problem for him.
That's true.
And that's where, so Xbox definitely dropped that. Now, this is what's cracking me up because of what Larian Studios had to go through. Because again, like what we saw with Capcom, the idea of strategic planning and putting in the proper time and resources, or allocating the proper time and resources for your project to be a success, is on you. And I have always stood by Larian Studios. Made a very great game. I thought that like Baldur's Gate was all right. I think they're a really great studio, but from my perspective in the manufacturing industry, they got lazy like Capcom. They got and same with the developer of Black Myth Wukong. Lazy. And I'm saying that respectfully, but of course you would rather produce a game for the Series X. It only because it's easier. Like every damn person in the world that has a job, of course we want our jobs easier. I would love to show up and have my job easier, but it don't. But that's where they knew the hurdles of the Series S. But what did they do? They streamlined their development for the path of least resistance. We're going to develop for PC, like with Larian Studios, we're going to develop for PC first. And we're going to do through all these beta tests and early access and really get the game cranking on PC. That's cool. But then we're going to develop for PlayStation because it's easier. Because Xbox is going to be the biggest hurdle for us to face. And we're going to have to put in a lot more time, effort, and resources into getting the game working right because of this stupid ass parity thing, when we would rather have it only come out on the Series X because that's easier. That's the exact same shit that frickin' this developer for Black Myth Wukong is trying to say. We'd rather take the easy way out. We want to we would rather have it only show up on the Series X. No. Like, that's not right, because that's the funny part, is technically the Series S is the more affordable console. If we were to throw the PS5 and the Xbox, the PS5 numbers out the window, I would actually be very curious to see exactly how many PS5 owners are. I'm just saying, there's a lot of Series S's out in the wild. And I just have my questions on why we're going down this road of, well, it's very difficult, and so therefore we're going to avoid this whole situation until it's too late, and essentially we have no choice. And the reason why I bring up, hey, what's up, Jago6, Porky Soda? Thank you for checking out the show. Thank you for joining the conversation. And now everybody, this is where we're going to have some fun with this, because Larian Studios walks around with egg on their face to this day. Why? Because it came out from an article that I pulled. I'll even send it to you guys that didn't, that want to see it. That the article is titled Baldur's Gate 3 Xbox Series S optimization will result in performance boosts for everybody. Oh my God, Mickey, did you hear that? The extra time and effort that they should have put in it in the first place benefits the entire fucking game across the board. Like, I'm just saying, like, imagine that. So they had this whole argument, and are you ready? The developer reduced the game's RAM requirements by 10% and VRAM requirements by 35% on the Xbox Series S. The reduction in memory usage means that the game no longer needs to use the lower memory in the Series X. The optimization is expected to enhance performance of the game on the Series S significantly. But the broader benefits of Larian CEO Swin Vinke, or whatever you want to pronounce it, I'm bad with names, Mickey knows that, believes these optimizations will also benefit the game's performance on other platforms, including the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5, and PC. The optimization brought the memory usage from approximately 8.7 gigabytes to 6.9 gigabytes on the Series S. The Series, so that's where, yeah, they were able to, and they explain how the Series S has 10 gigabytes of GDDR6, but only 8 gigabytes is the fast memory, with the remaining 2 being significantly slower. So through optimization, they were able to get the gigabytes low enough to where it ran off of those 8 gigabytes of fast memory that the Series S has. And when we go into it, the optimization process, which focused on reducing memory and VRAM usage, enhances overall game performance across all platforms. Efficient memory usage leads to smoother gameplay, faster load times, and reduced likelihood of crashes or slowdowns. Improvements made for one platform often translate to others due to shared code bases and development practices. By optimizing for the Series S, developers can implement similar efficiency techniques on the Series X and other platforms, leading to broader performance gains. Better memory management techniques developed for the Series S can be applied to the Series X. Even though the Series X has more powerful hardware, optimizing memory usage ensures it operates more efficiently, potentially freeing up resources for enhanced graphical fidelity or additional features. Like you could see, since the optimizations were done with DirectX 12, a collection of APIs for Microsoft's platforms, improvements or efficiencies discovered can benefit the Series X as well. Also uses anything else that uses DirectX 12. PC. This can result in better handling of graphic and computational tasks. Because Larian Studios danced around having to put in proper time, resources, and effort into the Series X, cried about it, woed about it, bitched about it, then all of a sudden they're like, Xbox is like, yo, we're sending a team of people over there to help you. You should have said something in the first place, rather than trying to come out and blame the Series S and try to go with, again, the math that the Series S is an albatross to gaming. So now that all this work has been done, it's like, oopsie, the game runs now completely better because we made it work on the Series S, and it's going to benefit everybody. So when you hear about this, when you read about it, it goes into the conversation of this whole, like, you know, Black Myth Wukong. Again, oh, the Series S optimization. if you read, but if you see what Larian Studios went through, like we're over here trying to be like, oh, they're having the same problems with Larian Studios. Yeah, and Larian Studios looked like a bunch of dumbasses when they were like, yeah, the game runs better now because we did it. So this is why huh? What are you saying? Hello?
I said,
Oh, you were saying, and that's where I'm just saying, like, dude, this goes into the idea of I help manufacture, like, guys, I have products manufactured overseas right now. I actually can say professionally that I have a cargo container with about $18,000 worth of product on its way over here right now from Beijing. There was hurdles in getting this done, but not at any time did the people I deal with ever come at me and be like, oh, this is going to be difficult. It's going to be really difficult. No, let's get this across the finish line. Same with the customers that I deal with. I have some really demanding customers and I got to help them develop some really customized products. If I came at them with the idea of like, oh man, this is going to take a lot of planning and money and time and effort and God, this is going to suck. You know, like it's more like, cool, I'm going to tackle the difficult stuff first. So that way, when we've got all the difficult things dialed in, we are going to be able to, thanks for joining the conversation, Ice Cold. And honestly, I'm going to say it right now. When it comes to the CPUs between the Series S and the PS5, the Series S also makes a lot more, makes more sense when, like, I'm just saying right now that whatever the PS5 has going on, like, it's like when they tried to explain the math when it came to the CPU on how it, like, works on 2 different hertz and stuff like that, I was just like, yeah, this sounds weird, man. But yeah, definitely, I have to agree with you on the Series S. Like, Xbox, like, dude, let's face it, Xbox knows how to, welcome to the chat, Boba Fett. Xbox really knows how to make some damn good hardware compared to Sony. Don't care what you want to say, what you want to argue about. When it comes to hardware development, Microsoft really knows their shit. Like, look at the Series X, for example. The board, like the main board, they decided to do a split board. A split board is normally something you only see in PCs. And they decided to do a split board in the Series X. I thought that was cool as hell. Like the Xbox One X, vapor chamber, cooling unit for the what they named as the Scorpio engine, or the system on a chip, which was the Scorpio chip. Yeah, it was cooled by a vapor chamber. First console to have a vapor chamber. So yeah, Microsoft really knows its stuff when it comes to hardware. Anyways, but that's where I just laughed at. Maybe I just feel that some of these companies like to take the easy route, and this is where the conversation came in with Capcom, the developer for Black Myth Wukong, the developer Larian for Baldur's Gate 3, and I'm never going to be like the gaming media and use the terms "you suck." I'm not like that at all. I'm not even going to say that. What I'm getting at is that I feel that there should have better strategic planning for the PS5 is overclocked and it gets hot, and they keep shrinking that heat sink in their Porky Soda. Every time they come out with an iteration of the PlayStation 5, you just watch that heat sink get considerably smaller. It's like, man, when are we going to see like a Red Ring issue where the next iteration of the PS5 just overheats and cooks? Yeah, Sony's first party optimizes very well, and it does make their hardware look a little better because of how their first party optimizes, Boba Fett. But let's face it, like, I mean, Microsoft has literally, with every iteration of their console that they've ever created, has always tried to really think outside the box. But yeah, it's like, Mickey, what do you think, man? Like, I just really feel that these developers, They're entitled to their opinion. They're allowed to talk about their woes, but it just comes down to, like, in my job, if I screw up, you actually know my boss, and I have to literally eat crow when I'm like, yeah, I screwed up. That's going to be delayed, or this got broken, or this isn't going to happen. I screwed up.
The reasons that they have for them is one way or another. Because honestly, I don't really know as far as like the hardware, or whatever excuses they make that they can't put on for the Series S or whatnot. But I mean, I don't know. I don't really have much of an. I don't really know enough, about it, but like you said that, the company, how they were complaining, come to find out, I don't know if they threw their hands up, and then they just changed a few things.
Yeah, Boba Fett.
And it's actually.
I'm sorry. I was just.
Something. No, you're good.
Oh no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just letting Boba Fett know that, yeah, there is. I know there's an echo and some feedback. We're gonna basically get that dialed in for next week, because there's definitely even some slight issues with Mickey's headset that we're gonna get dialed in by next week. But in our world, the show must go on because we enjoy conversating with you guys. So we're just pushing through it. Isn't that right, Mickey?
Yeah, but that's just my.
No, the only reason why I bring it up is because you're a Series S owner. Your son is a Series S owner. Doesn't your wife own a Series S?
Mm-hmm.
So there's three Series S's in his house.
Yep.
And that's where I'm glad that Xbox has a parity clause that basically says, for your game to be on Xbox, it needs to be on the S and the X. I don't believe developers should have the choice in saying, I would rather do blah because it's easier. And now we're starting to see an instance where developers are now trying to somehow make Xbox's attempt at trying to make an affordable console a backfire, when you see all these companies bitch and complain and whine how we don't want to have layoffs. We want to be able to sell more games. We want to have more revenue. We want to have a bigger opportunity at putting our games in people's hands. Then why the hell are you saying that the console that is the more affordable barrier to entry in console gaming is the bane of your existence? Like, it don't make sense to me. So, anything else you want to add, Mickey?
Nope, I'm good.
Nope. All right. Well, everybody, here we are, into the show. We appreciate every single one of you. Let's see. Oh, wait, Faded Blaze. Sony not being at Tokyo Game Show again makes me question whether there will be. I know, like, we're seeing all these conversations. PS5 Pro. But you never know, man. They might. Hey, Faded Blaze, they saw how Microsoft stole the show at the Game Awards with the reveal of the Series X. And we all know that, I'm pretty sure that they would like to recapture that, and also have, like, I'm going to tell you right now, Jeff Keighley gave I don't even know, if I'm right, they didn't even tell Jeff Keighley they were going to announce it, because Jeff Keighley can't keep his mouth shut on social media. And that's where even I think the Series X was a surprise for him to be revealed on stage. But that being said, if the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be revealed on stage, Jeff Keighley's probably going to have a dance routine planned. They're going to have probably a giant PlayStation 5 Pro come rising out of the stage. We're probably going to have Jeff Keighley running around in the PlayStation jammies, totally hyping Sony up. And he is going to make the biggest spectacle he can for them on the Video Game Awards. But at the same time, let's face it, that we all remember the launch of the Series X didn't have very many games because of issues with the pandemic. Well, Sony's not going to have the pandemic as an excuse with the launch of the PS5 Pro, probably not having a large library of games to be released around it. Just saying. Yeah, Blue, fun. Yeah, PlayStation got no games. Blue, I love Blue. He is a character. He's always fun to hang out with on Party Chat as well. They put all their eggs in one basket with live service. Yeah, you're right, Bones 32. Sony has put all their games in one basket with service games, live service games. And I warned everybody about that. You can go check out my previous videos. I already said, I was like, dude, when you have your guy at Sony come out like, we have 10 live service games in development at Sony, you're just like, holy cow, you guys spent that much revenue to develop 10 Hey, Mickey, you know games are expensive to produce, right? Could you imagine hearing somebody just like fudge out of the mouth? We've got 10 live service games in development. Ooh. Do you got any money left for anything single player? And I don't expect all 10 of those games to make it onto the market. I'm just saying, yeah, apparently Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard really Jedi mind fucked freaking Sony. I don't know what happened there. So. Thank you, Yobi. We thank all of you guys for checking out the show. Yeah, I know it was 12 gas games and half of them have already been canceled. But you know what the funny part is about that, Porky, is when you cancel a game, that's wasted money. Like you could have like, oh, we've already spent like X amount thousands of dollars on hiring some people, doing some concepts and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, like that's money wasted that you could have put into. So let's just say, let's like for the latter, Mickey, they canceled 6 games that were worth about $25,000 a piece. So 6 times 25,000, that's $150,000 that you could have invested into a different game.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and something tells me some of those games, they invested more than $25,000.
That's true too.
Like, all 6 of them had $100,000 wrapped up. Well, now we're talking over $500,000 that you could have put into one game.
Yep.
So
that's truth.
But all right, man. Thank you for joining us tonight, Mickey. Tell everybody good night.
Thank you all.
And
thank you guys. Thank you everybody for joining. We appreciate it.
Yes, and we all appreciate you guys joining in. Next week, we've kind of got some plans where we're going to cover one of the big games coming out on Xbox Game Pass next month. We're going to kind of talk about why we're excited to play it, what some of the game features are and stuff like that. Also, hopefully, there's a little bit more exciting news than what has taken place this week, but I also did try to really build as cohesive and as entertaining of a show as possible. We thank every single one of you guys for always coming here every Wednesday night and checking us out and being part of the conversation. As always, please like and subscribe down below if you enjoyed the insane entertainment. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you next week. And just remember to play what you want, where you want, no matter what anybody says. And just have fun with gaming in general. You guys have yourselves a good night, everybody.
Have a good night. Later.